Hi guys, just a brief video update to start this. Before we do it, go moving to 10.9. I've had a couple of questions, and so I thought it'd be easy to explain it. These Confederate troops on the ridge, I was asked what advantage does that give them? Well, it doesn't, unlike the artillery, which if it's on a ridge or a hill like this one, gets an extra one for its range. Infantry firing muskets don't, but what they do get is an infantry regiment, a Union infantry regiment. Let's take this one and put him there. If this unit's firing at it, it will get, because it's 1, 2, 3 hexes away. It would, if it was there, he would be able to throw 4 dice, 3 dice, 2 dice. So he would throw 2 of the battle dice, 2 of the black dice, 2 of the battle dice to see if he could get infantry or the sabres, to see if he could actually start to reduce the strength of this unit. However, the Union infantry firing up the slope would only get to fire, would get 1 less dice, so he would get 3, 2, 1. He would only get to fire 1 die. As he moved nearer, they would get 4. They'll get 3 dice to throw at the Union. The Union would get 3, 2. They would only get 2 because they'll lose 1 die each time. Normally, if that was on the flat, it would have exactly the same number of die as the Confederate unit. So hopefully that's cleared that one up. I'll put him back so I don't forget where he's from. The other thing is, at the moment, over there is an artillery on a ridge. Now, artillery on the ridge, normally artillery get a range of 5 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they would get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 die. So the further away you are, obviously, the less chance of hitting. But because it's on a ridge, he gets an extra range. And he would get 1 die there. So this Union infantry regiment is actually at very extreme range. So that gun could actually fire at extreme range with 1 dice to see if he could start weakening it. Problem is, of course, at the moment, neither side have got much in the way of movements, and that's one of the, I won't say faults, but it's one of the annoying things of this game, is that you get lots of cards with special rules on it when you're battling, which is great. But in the early stages of a battle like this, when you're manoeuvring, you really want the movement cards. You want this type of card, because then you can start to do things with it. These cards are great when you're in battle, but they're not much use yet. So hopefully there's some more movement. The decks over there, what we're using, that's still to be used. I don't know what's going to come next. Hopefully we'll get some more movement and manoeuvring cards. Also, my good buddy Curtis, we often discuss rules, and he's been mentioning a couple of things about this game. That actually the battle mat, which is below this, I mean the table stood on the battle mat. You can see the battle mat around the outside. You could actually transfer the figures onto the battle mat instead of using hexes. Actually use measurements like you would on a normal wargaming table, which is quite a good idea. And also, if you wanted to, you could have a remote game where you had different people who are in, say for instance, somebody in command of the Union right wing, another commander, maybe the overall commander, in charge of the centre, and a third player in charge of the Union left. Because we've got the equivalent of a brigade in each of them. Well, 3 brigades make a division, so this guy who was overall commander would be a divisional commander, probably a major general. These would be brigadier generals. And everybody would send in their orders. Obviously, they would speak to each other by email, as would the Confederate commanders. And then once they decided on their orders, each commander would forward his orders, and then I would move the troops. A bit like you're playing the game, but you're not actually there. You can see it, and obviously I'm making a video of it, and then I would move the troops on your behalf from your command. Problem is, of course, is without these cards, but we'd probably have to dispense with the cards. And what we'd probably do is, when you're passing orders, for instance, say the brigadier who's commanding this, to pass an order, he'd maybe have to pass a die roll. Say, for instance, if he wants to send an order to this unit, let's say he has to roll 4 or less. So if he rolls a 5 or 6, that unit won't move or fire or anything. It'll just stay there. So then he'd have to go on to his next unit and roll a 4 or less. This is just hypothetical at the moment. Something like that, so that there is still some element that this unit or that unit may not actually do what the commander wants it to do. So it's all good ideas, and I thank Curtis for these things, because he's a mine of information. What he doesn't know about rules isn't worth knowing. So we had a good chat about that. So that might be something I'd like to do in the future, and I'm sure if anyone's fancies being a budding brigadier or major general for a future battle, and fancy your chances of commanding some of these troops, but actually on the battle mat rather than on the board, and see how it goes. Okay, I'll stop waffling now, and we'll get back to the turns. Thanks for that. Bye now. Drawing this card, the Union continue to thin out the centre, moving troops out onto the left. You can see by the pointer which units are going to be moved, so I won't insult your intelligence. You can see from the shots what's happening. And he gets and yet another assault left flank card, so exactly the same as the previous one. Confederate, he didn't want to use those centre ones because his troops are quite happily ensconced on that ridge, so he's going to try the sharpshooter one. In this one he can take a pot shot at the enemy general, but he's got to roll a sabre to hit. He only gets 1 dice, and unfortunately he rolls a flag. So he didn't hit the general, and his replacement card is a bombard, not a movement card. So moving on to turn 10, the Union player uses his left flank card he's just got, so he can move up to 6 units, and again the pointer's showing you who's moving and where they're moving, so I'll keep the big trap shut. He just used this assault left flank card and he's picked up an identical one, so I'll just put the two together to show you what he'd picked up. The Confederate's turn, he's going to use that bombard card. He's going to use his artillery, that's on the ridge, and he gets to fire twice. That's where the artillery is. He's decided to fire at that unit, and he gets 2 shots because he can fire twice. And he needs obviously infantry, but he gets a cavalry icon and an artillery icon. Both misses. The Union plays that duplicate card he picked up, and once again the movements will show you everything you need to know. He picks up another attack left flank, but this one's just for 3 orders rather than 6 for the number of cards he holds. Confederate, he also gets an attack left flank, but he's not going to attack that artillery or that infantry regiment. What he's actually going to do is move Jeb Stuart, the general, back into that wood and to join up with that infantry unit. So he's now in the cover of the woods. And the Confederate then draws an assault on the right flank, so he may be able to do something then. And then I've just taken a few photographs of the troops just to end this video, because it's starting to run on a bit. So thanks for watching.